Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So I'm going to continue with my spring flowers for this video. So this time I'm going to do a crocus. So I'm going to take you down to my board. Right, now then, the cutter that I'm using for the crocus is this one here. This is a tulip cutter, but these are smaller than obviously a full-size tulip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the rounded one. Now if you haven't got this, you can either get the templates from my website at terrificcakedesign.uk, or you could use a rose petal cutter as well. The only difference with the rose petal cutter is it doesn't have the slightly squared off bit at the bottom. I'm also using a rose petal veiner because it's the only one I could find that had similar sorts of veins to a crocus after having a look at one, because we've got some out in the park in January here. February, we're in now, beginning of February. They are a bit early, but it hasn't been that cold, so anyway, that's beside the point. So what I'm using for these is I'm using a 28 gauge white wire. Now I'm going to do two different kinds of crocus. This one's an open one, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an open one like this, and then I'm going to do one that's more closed. So this one's got all 6 petals all wired. The other one will only have 3 petals wired. Now I'm going to show you the centre for the crocus. That's one that I haven't put pollen on. This is one I have put pollen on. This is a bit of a strange one because when I looked on a photography site and managed to get close-ups of the crocus, and the top of the pistil is quite it's like 3 pieces like that. So I'm going to show you how I made that. So we want 3 28 gauge wires. I'm just having a look, see what I've got here. I'll just do one stamen. Right, I'm going to do this one right from beginning to end. So I'm going to get some white paste out for this. Get hold of it. This is quite soft because this is a new batch that I've made, and I did put a bit of extra glucose and glycerine in it. If you want it to be soft and your petals to stay more flexible, especially if you're in a very hot, dry climate, then that's what you need to do to keep it more flexible. So I'm going to start off with a tiny piece of paste, which that's too big, so I'm going to cut that in half. That might be a bit too big as well, so I'm going to cut that in half. It's a bit better. I'm going to roll it into a sausage like that, and then you want your wire up the centre, leaving a bit of wire at the top, and then just start to roll it like that, and gradually roll it up your wire. If I just put it onto my yellow pad so you can see what I'm doing on that side there, be a bit easier for you to see what I'm doing. Just roll it up until your paste just comes past the end. Now that's probably going to be a bit long, so I'm going to take a little bit off the bottom there, then thin that bit down, and then get it between your finger and your thumb and just push this down so you can get a little bit of like an anther cap on, like the centre of a lily, but it's a lot smaller. That's better. Got a bit more paste to work with there. Now, on the actual flowers, it appears to be a bit frilly, but to do this in sugar and make it frilly, we're not nature, that just develops normally. That would be a bit difficult, so nobody's going to notice the difference there between it, so I'm keeping it simple for everybody. If somebody was doing this in competition, I dare say that they probably may not even do the 3 pieces for the centre, but if you're going to be botanically correct, that's how the centres are for these crocus. Another thing is, well, they only have 3 stamens, because you've got 3 parts for the top of your anther, and then you've got 3 stamens. So look at that, is that about the same length? Yep, that's about the same length. Just push that top down to flatten that. So that's 2. And then we want a little bit more paste, so I'm just going to cut that one in half. I'm doing this all in one for the simple reason that the next step, I want them all to be fresh when I do this, which will become clear in a minute. Then roll that up there. A lot of people when they start tend to get these things a bit thick, but it's practice that makes perfect. If you keep at it and keep having a go, you'll get there. So don't be despondent and giving up. I'll just take a little bit off the bottom of that. Then that back down onto the wire. Then between your finger and your thumb, then flatten that top piece. There. Just roll that round a little bit more. And flatten that down. Roll that down. Just check the length of that. Yep, that's okay. Now what you need to do now is to get all 3 of these together. Like this. Get them all at the same level. We've put it that way around, you can see what I'll do. I'll just turn that over because it's a bit brighter yellow on that side. And then if you get round about ½ an inch below there, and then start rolling all the lot together like that. So that now all rolls into one. Hang on, one of them slipped down. Oh dear me. Didn't do this the first time I did it. Try and keep them all level. I haven't done there, but it doesn't matter because this is only just to show you how to do it. So basically, where's my other one? Overdone with it. You've got them all together like that. So you've got your 3 wires down here, and you've got your 3 anther caps all at the same level. So just put that to one side. Now the next thing you need to do is to make your stamens. So I'm just going to make one, but you need 3 of these per flower. So I'm going to get a bit of that small piece of paste that I had left there. Roll that into a sausage shape. Then if you get your wire and put that into your wire like that, and then roll it. You only need a short one for this, so that's quite short, is that. So what you need to do is to find something that's round and narrow. Where's it gone? And what did I use? There it is. I'm using a chocolate fork because it's got these long things. So you want that to go down the length of the, then just press down onto it. So you get a little groove going up the centre of your stamen there, and then just bring it round like that. Then if you just put those to dry, I think no, I'll use the fresh one for the next part. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some pollen on. Now what I've done is I've started off with my yellow pollen, that one, to start off with, but it's quite dark, it's more on the orangey side, is that. So what I've done is I've put into it a bit of this Harvest Sun yellow, which is a much deeper. Did I use that one? Yeah. The Harvest Sun yellow, which I've mixed in with the rest of my pollen, so it gives me, if you can see that, a much darker yellow. So I'll just put that away because we don't want that one. And then you want your glue, so take my glue brush out, and then we'll start off with the centre. So you get your centre into your glue and then into your pollen. Make sure it comes part way down like that, like I've done there. I haven't gone all the way down, I've just gone halfway down with that. So, and then do the same thing with your stamens. So you want 3 of these per flower, into your glue, into your pollen, then just tap all your excess off like that, and then put that to one side to dry. So we'll just get rid of those 2 out of the way for now. Get rid of the pollen. So that's all done. And my glue. Get a bit more paste out, and we can make the petals. So again, I'm using a 28 gauge wire. Oops. I'm only going to do 1 petal just to show you, because I've got all mine already made, and then I've got one ready to dust. Don't forget to give this is fresh paste, so don't forget to give it a good knead before you start making anything, to make sure you've got your stretch in it like that. Oops, bit of paste there. I'm going to put some white fat on my board. And roll your paste out. Don't forget, if you've got any questions about anything, leave them in the comments below. I'm sure a lot of people don't really ask questions or make comments. I'd like to hear a bit more from people, especially new people that have just joined. If there's anything you want to know, or where to find it, then don't be frightened of getting in touch. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel as well, it's free. Then you'll know when I upload a new video, because this is the 3rd in the last few days that I've done. So far I've done, what did I do first? Oh, I did an orchid. Then I've done snowdrops. Now I'm doing crocus, and the next one I'm going to add to the spring flowers as well, and I'm going to do a daffodil in the next one. So you get your cutter, and you want 6 of these per petal. If you're going to do the open ones, I'll show you again, like that one, you want 6 like that. If you're going to do a closed one, which I haven't done because I haven't put it together yet, you'll want 3 of these, and then you want 3 out without the ridge up the middle. But you're going to treat them in exactly the same way as I'm going to do this. So you get your petal between your finger and your thumb, and you want your 28 gauge wire. We're using 28 gauge because these are very fine and they're not particularly big, so you can get away with a thinner wire. And then you want that to go up your petal as far as you can get it. Feel it between your finger and your thumb till you've got it up your ridge like that. I think I've come out a little bit on that side, yeah, tiny bit. And then onto your pad. And then with your medium ball tool, we're going to roll around the edge like that to thin your edges. right the way around, like that. And then I'm going to get my rose petal Verner. I can't remember which make this one is. What I'll do is when I finish this, I'll try and find which Verner I got for this, and then I'll put it in the comments below. So give that a press on top like that, and then just very gently get your petal out of your Verner because it's stuck a bit with the white fat. Then what you want to do with that, just pop that over there, is to get your bobble foam. You can't do anything without these, and all you do is just get your petal, pop it into one of the dips like that, and just push it down into there like that. So it's well down into it, it's well rounded, and then you leave that to set. And the unwired ones, you do exactly the same thing with those as well. Just get that one out of the way. Right, so the next step we need to do now is we need to start, we need to make some leaves for it as well. So if you watch my last video, the snowdrop ones, this is how I made the leaves in that. I'm doing these freehand, we're not using any cutters for these or veiners or anything. Small ball of paste. And then you want a 28 gauge green wire. Roll it into a bit of a sausage. That's a little bit big, so I'm just going to take a little bit off that. Start again. These are slightly wider than the snowdrops, but made in the same way. So again, put your wire up the centre of your paste and out past the end, like that, onto your board, and then just roll it up. Up your wire. And then roll it down to the bottom as well. That's gone a little bit right. I'm going to do that again because that didn't quite go right. Just to prove a point that when I'm doing it, things do go wrong. So again, we'll start that off. My wire was a little bit offside, so it was coming out the side as well. So again, start it down your wire like that, and then roll it, and go up your wire and down your wire. That's gone a little past the end of the wire. I'll just take some of that off. Right, so once you've done that, all you want is any Verner. You want the flat side of the Verner onto your leaf, press. That's gone slightly off that side, so we'll just take a bit off of there with my cutting wheel. Like that. I'm just going to turn that over because it's a bit better on that side. And then if you give your leaf a bit of a curve and then go up your leaf like that to shape it. And then at the end you want a point, so you just pinch that together like that. Just get rid of that green paste. Sorry about that. My dog's in one of those moods today. Every time he hears a noise he has to start barking. Don't you, Chance? Being a noisy boy. Right, so you can put those to one side to dry. I'm going to colour this as it is fresh, so I'm not using that one anyway, so that's basically just to show you how it's done. But obviously when you're doing it, take your time and get it a bit straighter than the way that I've just done that. So while that's sitting there for a bit, I'm going to get my colour. Now the colour that I've used for doing my Crocus is a colour called Iris from Edible Art, which is a pale lilac colour. I find it easier with a lot of flowers to do them in white and then dust them with the colour afterwards. It depends what you're doing. If you're doing a strong colour, you can do your paste in a paler colour to start off with, but doing it that way you tend to have lots of bits of paste over and you waste a lot of it. So unless you're doing a strong colour, it's better to do it in white first and then dust it with the delicate ones. So I've got a petal here that's been drying, and then I've got my brush here. I'm using quite a narrow brush here, and then I've got my lilac colour there, and then start from the top edge and dust down. I'm going to leave a little bit white at the bottom. I'll explain about that when I come to put this together. And if you've got too much powder on, you can go back up that way, then turn it over and do the back. This makes your colour a bit more dense on the side. With it being white, colour shows through like that, and then all you do is just put it back into your form and reshape it like that. These were made yesterday, by the way, so you can see how flexible they are. Right, so if you do all your petals like that, so as I say, you want 6. If you're doing an open one, you want 6 wired. If you're doing a closed one, which I'll show you shortly, then you want 3 wired and then 3 unwired. And it's important to shape your petals, because if you don't shape your petals properly, they won't be using normal flower paste, because once it's dried, you can't do anything with it. The advantage with this soft, flexible paste that we're using is that you can reshape your petals as you go along. If they go out of shape, you can still shape them 24 hours after you've done them and get everything to sit together a lot better, which I really like. That's why I'm redoing some of the flowers that I've done, because if you haven't got your petals round enough with ordinary paste, then they're never going to look right. So I might do a parrot tulip again. I didn't like the one I did with normal flower paste. It's on my website. So I'm going to do it with the soft paste to see how that goes as well. So that's a bit further down the line. That's just coming to my brain while I'm thinking about this. So that's how things work sometimes, you know. Right, so once we've done that, then we can go on to the green for the leaves. So the colour that I've used here for the leaves is rainforest green from Edible Art. Again, if you want to use these colours that I'm using and you want to buy them from Edible Art, if your local Sugarcraft shop sells it, then you'll probably be able to get the colours from there. If you can't, you can order them direct. And that's all one word. Edible Art, World of Colour, all one word. .co.uk. And edible is spent not edible, it's edable. So it's with an A, not an I. So just remember that when you're putting in, otherwise you won't get onto their website. Right, so if I bring my petal back over, the leaf back over that I've done there, and then all you're going to do is you're just going to dust this, and then turn it over and do the back. So that's that bit done. Get rid of that brush. Now I'm also using a very fine brush here. It does want to be fine, and I've got here another colour from Edible Art, which is Tropical Lime. I use this quite a lot when I want light greens, especially base of petals and edges of petals and things like that, because sometimes if you do them with the darker green as they are in nature, it can be a bit too much, so I tend to tone it down a little bit. So I'm looking for my, oh, there it is. There we are. I've got some isopropyl in here. If you haven't got isopropyl, you can use vodka or gin if you've got it. Any white spirit will do. Mix that in with your colour. Scrape any excess off on your brush, and very, very carefully you're going to go down the middle like that. Now you probably can't see this, but it does dry very quickly, and you will see it when it dries. So I'm just going to leave that there for a minute. Get that out of the way. So do that with all of your leaves. Just move that out of the way, put it somewhere where I can find it. Don't forget to clean your brush when you finish with some isopropyl in another bottle. Just keep that for cleaning brushes with your colours and your glaze. Now if you have a look at that, you can see that it's starting to show up now as it dries. So I'm just going to go on to the next step. I'm not going to bother waiting for that to dry. And I've got some leaf glaze here. You can get this from your sugar craft shop. And then I have a brush that I keep for doing that with. Get some glaze on that. Then if you just hold your wire in your hand, and all I'm going to do is just go down like that with it. That's it. Then put that to one side to dry. Then what you'll end up with when your leaves are dry, if you can see this when I get hold of one, you can see slightly lighter in the centre of the leaf on that. It's just a faint thing, it doesn't have to be too obvious. So what I need to do now is I need to clean my brush, because if you don't, I've just had to try and revive one this morning because I obviously hadn't cleaned it and it had gone hard. So always make sure you clean your brushes first before you put them away, and just get your excess off on your kitchen roll, and then you can use that again. Right, and the colour that's in my lid here, whoops, I'm having difficulty putting those on my shelf, that I'm just going to leave that to dry. Then you just put it back on your pot, and next time you come to use colour for painting, you can just add some more isopropyl to it and reconstitute your colour. So get that to one side, and I'll get my centres now. I've got two centres here, that one and that one, and I should have all my stamens here already made. Here we are. So we're going to start putting things together. So I'm going to use some Nile green tape, which is the light green. So stretch your tape, find out which is the sticky side. That's the sticky side. Onto the base of your pistol there, bring that round, nip it in with your nail, and then just start that off. There we are, that's started off. Now you can put all of your three stamens in together. Because they're sort of to one side in the pictures that I've seen. It might vary from crocus to crocus, so if you go online and have a look and see for yourself, and then you can do whatever you want. I mean, you could have them at 3 points round your crocus if you want. Like every flower, there's loads of different variations. So I'm just going to get that into there and twist that on and tape down. Now if you want to, you could dust the base of these stamens where the wires are showing with a little bit of your lime green dust. Hang on, get my something out to pull those out. That's that one. Where's the other one? There. Now you can either have them together like that on one side, or you can have them going round, whichever. They do tend to vary on the flowers, so It's up to you which way you want them to go, but the one in the picture that I was looking at had them on one side, so I'm copying that. Right, so I'll do this other one because your centres are the same for both of your flowers. Get that onto there. Get those together. And don't forget to make sure that the heads of your stamens are slightly lower than the pistil there. And then tape that on and tape down. And then you can open those out a bit. Like that. So those are the two centres ready. So again, start your tape off at the top where you started it before. And then if you bring your petals over, oops, just move that. Bring that over, it'd be easier doing it this way. And then start by bending your wires down. So if you get it between your finger and your thumb, bend that down, and then bring that in. You can bring it back up when you've got it into position, depending on how you want to do your flower. That's slightly offside, so we'll bring that up that way. Bring that straighter in. There we are. Now I've left a little bit of the wire showing. Oops, dropped one. Put that in there. And that's so that I can pull the wires down and make sure they're really tight in, so they're not moving about. Goes into there, like that. See, that's moved round a bit. If you just get them in position, and then you can pull your wires down. Right down to your tape. There we are. And then tape down. I'm only going to tape down part way because this one is going to be the open one. So I'm going to bring that back up to there and put my next lot of petals in. One. Two. Make sure you get them halfway between the petals like that there. And three. And then tape down. And then you can play around with your petals. Then you can open them out and readjust them and reshape them. As I said, these were done yesterday. You can see how flexible they are. So that's going to be partly open one. You could open it a bit more. That's slightly less open than that one, so it's up to you how you want them with the wired ones. So just put those to one side, down there. And just be back in a sec. Sorry about that, I just dropped something down off my shelf down here, so I needed to pick it up. So this is going to be the one that's going to be more closed. I'm just going to put these on here just so that they don't get damaged. Those are the ones we've already made up. So again, I'm going to get some more tape because getting a bit short there. Where's my cutter gone? There. Hope I don't have the same problem I did with the last video because I had trouble with my... Oh, hang on, I've got some there. It's alright, got some more. Found some already cut. I always have bits and bats all over here, so probably sometimes I cut too much, because you cut some and then you find out you've already got a load already. Get that round there. And then again, like we've done with the previous one, between your finger and your thumb, bend your wires down and tape these 3 petals in. You don't need to bend these quite as back, because this is going to be a closed one. But I will adjust those petals once I've got them in. And the last one. Basically at the moment I just want to get them taped in, so I can pull those down into position. Make sure they're nicely down to the wire. That's it. And then tape all the way down with that one, because we're not going to tape any more into that one. I'm not doing lots of them, because you don't get lots of flowers growing on one plant. You might get 2 or 3 on some of them. Depends on how well established they are. If you grow crocus, you'll know what I mean. So I'm just going to reshape these now and bring them up. Change the position a bit. Bring them up there like that. So they're quite well in. Just go around there. So you need it quite tight at the bottom. You see what I mean there? The reason I've left this white is because on the actual flowers there is actually a neck comes down here that is white. The reason I haven't done it on these is because the wires are too thick. I did try doing it on one of them and it just didn't look right. So that's why I haven't put that on. But there is actually a neck on the bottom of there. So it's up to you whether you want to do it or not. As I say, I've left it off. And the thing is, when you're looking at a spray, people don't see the backs of the flowers anyway. So unless, as I say, you're doing it for a competition, I wouldn't worry too much about that. So I'm just going to pop that down there for now. Get my glue out. And I'm just going to glue down there and down there. This is for the first petal, so that's going to go over there, like, oops, over there like that. And I'm going to glue. It might be better to put it on your petals. If you go down each side of your petal rather than doing it on the flower, then you make sure you get your glue in the right place, because you want it on the edge of your petals. And that can go in like that. Oops. Make sure it's nice and tight in at the bottom. I'm just going to go back onto that one and just put a little bit of glue on that one, that first one I put on, because that's not sticking where it should be. There we are. A little bit on the other side of that petal. There we are. And then the last one. That's going to go over that join there and wrap round there, like that. You just go around and make sure that they're nice and attached, like that. So then we've got a closed and open crocus. Now, I'm not doing the buds on these, because sometimes when you do buds on certain types of flowers, they can look a bit ugly if they're quite big buds on them. So sometimes it's just better to leave them off. Just going to go inside and just make sure those petals are attached. There we are. Right, just pop those down there. Get rid of that. So I'm going to get some full width tape now to put this all together. So I'm going to start with these here. So I'm going to start the tape off near the bottom. Now these are very low growing flowers. They don't have much of a stem, don't crocus. If you've seen them either out in the parks or in the town centres or wherever they grow. So I'm just going to get those to sort of just come out slightly like that. Tape those in. And then we're going to put the partially open one in next, in there, like that. And I'm just going to tape down with those. This would be lovely for a spring cake, just to put in a posy pick with just the crocus and the leaves. Or you could mix it in and do some snowdrops with it as well, if you wanted to, from the last video. And then just start putting your leaves in then. And everything grows from the base. There's no stems on the leaves, they just grow from the base. Like with the snowdrops that I did in the last video. Whoops, got two stuck together there. Whoops. Get that off. I'm just going to bring the camera up so you can see what I'm doing. I always forget that because I'm looking down here while you're looking down on what I'm doing, and my camera's up there so I can't see what I'm doing on the camera like you can. There's no hardened pattern or anything like that to your leaves. Just keep on putting them in until you've got all your leaves in around the base. So I've done quite a lot of leaves here to go in here. So you're going to have quite a thick bottom by the time you're finished, once you've got all these in. You could have your leaves a bit bigger. If you want to do longer ones you can, because they are a lot longer leaves on these. But like I said before with the snowdrops, if you do them too big, then they can look a bit ugly and over the top. We're not bothering with that. That's the fresh one that I did. So I'm just going to tape down with these just to make sure these stay in place. And then you can just open your leaves out then, if you just get something just to open your leaves out. So there we are, my spray of crocus. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and don't forget, if you're not a subscriber, subscribe to the channel, and if you've got any comments or any questions you want to ask, then leave them in the comment section below, and come back and see me soon. So there we are, take care, stay safe, see you soon.